The Church of Rock.
Joined by Mike Peters. Hi, Mike. How are you today?
I'm very good, Derek. Thank you.
Are you in Wales by chance?
I am in Wales. Greetings from Wales.
That's one country I've never had the pleasure to visit yet.
Oh, you're missing out on the best kept secret on the planet.
So I'm told. It must be pretty great for you to stay there all these years, huh?
Yeah, look, it affords me a lot of space, silence, very close to nature. I live in a beautiful part of the world, and I absolutely love it. And it's a really great place to come home to.
Mike, are there a lot of mountains and things like that in Wales?
Oh, yeah, we've got the Snowdonia mountain range. Where I live here in the Vale of Clwyd, we've got the Clwydian mountain range. We've got some beautiful mountains all around us, and it's one of the best kept secrets. I mean, Scotland has its place in the world, and maybe Wales is a little bit less known because we're so annexed, and we have been annexed to England. When, in the 80s, when I used to tour America, it was like, come to England and visit Wales. So we never had our own autonomy till around 1990, 91, when we could start to promote Wales as an independent destination. We're still part of the United Kingdom, but we can now say visit Wales and, invest in Wales, bring your business to Wales and have great staff and great places to work. So, yeah, we're definitely a country that's on the up for sure.
That's awesome. I plan to visit Edinburgh sometime this year, so I'll make some further plans to check out Wales while I'm over that side of the pond.
Definitely.
I'm really intrigued about your new release. I mean, we could talk about the past for days, but let's go right to now. You guys wrote, recorded, and released a new album in just 50 days. It's called War, and I'd really like to hear more about it, man.
Yeah, I just felt compelled to write after I saw the Capitol building being overrun on January the 6th. I was on a phone call with a board member of our charity, Love, Hope, Strength, our cancer charity, and he represented and represents politicians on both sides of the Senate, both sides of the House, and the divide, and it was very real in those moments. And when I switched on the news as it was happening while we were on this call, all the headlines said alarming news, Capitol building being stormed and occupied. And I thought, well, this is the trigger point to really write an album now. I'd written a lot of music in the pandemic time, but I thought, who's going to want to hear a record about the pandemic, and that we want to forget this and move on? So I was always writing my songs about the time in the future when we could walk free as human beings again. But the trigger point really when I saw the Capitol building happening was, I thought, no one else has done it. Let's write a record about now that's like a Polaroid of what we've all been going through, and it could be a real document of this actual moment in history.
Oh, beautiful. How many songs on the album?
There's 10 songs on the album, and they vary across a lot of subjects. There's some that tackle some of the issues head on, some of the things we've experienced, the battle for the presidency, the way Twitter and in social media has been abused, and the language that was used became divisive. My household, I had to switch off the TV news. There was so much anger coming from, the president of the United States at the time, and there was so much bear biting, and shark. It's almost like became like a shark pool. And I thought I didn't want my kids to see that kind of rhetoric in their lives, in their home. So I switched it off, and we said, we'll just watch the main news at night. And we played music, and a lot of the music that was calling out to me at the time were the John Lennons and the Bob Dylans and the Neil Youngs, people that had something to say. And I thought, let's add to this. I couldn't see any other artists tackling the subject, and I knew we had the technology and the independence and the autonomy to make our own record and get it done. And so, I full-heartedly went on the internet on the 6th of January and wrote to all the fans and said, we're going to make a record and we're going to release it on my birthday on the 25th of February. And I didn't even really think about it. And I thought, the only thing I thought, if I don't put it on the net now, I'll get talked out of this. And when I woke up, my wife Jules was like, "What, are you crazy?" You know, and she started filming me, phoning the band, and we literally made the record out in the open. We used to put films up every day of the Zoom calls and the drum sessions and me singing in my studio, and we literally showed people how we put a record together in real time. So it was a great experience for us. You know, it wasn't the normal experience, but we learned different things, and we came at our music from a different direction, which I think was cool. And and it was released exactly as we said it would be on the 25th, 26th of February.
Well, good job, man. Besides the talented Jules Peter on keyboards, are there any other members of the Alarm we should know about?
Of course, yeah. Smiley, our drummer, is an amazing player. We're lucky to have him. He's got a world-class studio that he records from, so we had that bedrock of high fidelity for the album. But Smiley has got a great drum track record. He's played with Joe Strummer, he's played with Robbie Williams, he's played with some of the big artists in the world. He's an incredible player. He's in the Alarm. He was an Alarm fan from day one. You know, I think we're one of the first bands he ever saw play live. Now he's in the band and has been for the last 12 years. And James Stevenson plays guitar, and James has been playing guitar in the Alarm since 2000. So he's been with us a long, long time. He's been the person I've made the most ever concert appearances with alongside him. And but James has played with the Cult, and he's plays with Tony Visconti, who produced David Bowie. So he's a great player as well. And we were lucky to have our producer George Williams, who again has a fantastic studio. He's made all our albums going back to Under Attack in 2006. So we've got a good understanding of how we like to work, and we're a good little team. And George identified once we got going that we actually had 7 weeks, so it meant we could do 2 tracks a week, and a week to mix, and then a week to post produce and get the artwork ready, and then that's how we did it. And we released the album on CD. We sent CDRs out with the full artwork before we'd even completed the record, so the fans we could send them the tracks digitally on the day of release, and they could burn CDs. We had LPs being hand cut one at a time in real time. So when the record hit the digital domains on the 26th of February, we were releasing a record with all the physical formats as well. So I don't think anyone's ever done that before. But in the lockdown, when I was playing a lot of music, the John Lennon album, Give Me Some Truth compilation album came out, and Instant Karma was the song that kicks it off. And I read about that song, and he said he wrote it for breakfast, recorded it for lunch, and released it for dinner. And that was part of the inspiration behind this project. He did this one song in 10 days from writing it to releasing it, whereas we took 10 songs and took 50 days. So we were in good space.
Brilliant, man. That is so great, man. You're such an inspiring guy. I've always admired you for being a real artist and not one to take somebody else's guff, like you do things your way, and I've always thought that was cool. You mentioned Bob Dylan earlier, and I know you've done gigs with Bob Dylan. Like, how cool is that, man? You know?
Oh, it was great. Yeah, we toured with him in 1988, and he invited me up on stage to sing with him a few nights, and it was really cool. My best man for my wedding, my best friend growing up, works for Bob Dylan to this very day, because Bob Dylan liked him so much he stole him off me. I think it might have been something to do with a much bigger wage packet that Bob Dylan could offer than the Alarm could, but we're still best of mates, me and Red, you know. So yeah, I've seen Bob Dylan play a lot of times because Red works for him. So yeah, great artist. Always, he's always followed his own path. That's what I love about him.
Well, yeah, he's an individual for sure, and he never seems to waver very much, which is very admirable. You mentioned the different formats for the album. How do folks go about getting the LP or CD of the album if they want something alternative to the digital mic?
Yeah, they can come to thealarm.com, and the only format available now is the last few CD copies, which they're probably about to go as news of the album spreading, because each record cover was hand painted by myself as well. So that every record, we stopped selling the LP on the day it came out, because just because the demand was so massive, and then the CDRs all went out before the album came out without music, and now there's just the last few remaining CDs, which I've been finished hand painting only yesterday. So it's been I just wanted the record to be very unique and a snapshot, almost a Polaroid of the times. I was at first I was quite set on burning the master tapes as soon as we released the record as well, so that it couldn't be doctored with in the future, but I got talked out of that one.
Well,
so, in a way, that the fans who've got records and vinyl and CD, they're really the custodians of the master tapes from here on in.
Well, I'm one of those kind of people that collects vinyl, but I guess I'm screwed. But I think I'm going to hop off after we talk today and buy a copy of your CD at thealarm.com.
Great, Dick. Thank you.
Did you sign those by chance since you did the artwork?
Yeah, they're all signed, and I had cover printed, and I decorate them with the album title and the band logo, and sign them on the reverse. And then the space for the song titles, because when we created the artwork, I didn't have any of the songs, so all the titles are blank, and the fans fill in the song titles themselves if they feel they want to do that and be part of the creative process.
Wow, how unique is that, man? That is so cool, man. I've never heard of anyone doing that, ever. That's great.
Yeah, it's a pretty radical thought, but yeah, we got there.
Did you self-record the album, Mike, yourself, and self-produce it?
No, I had a George Williams, our producer, was the man behind the controls, but we all produced our individual performances. Like I'd set up, I've got a studio, but it's being converted, it's having a lot of work done on it. And so I actually set up a caravan at the end of the driveway and recorded there, and produced my own, vocal performances and guitar recordings. I did them all myself in a Pro Tools rig, and that was what was different. We weren't all in the same room, but we had sort of communal Zoom calls every morning with George, the producer, and all the band members on the call, and we'd all decide which direction we'd take the track. And then we had everything linked up to the same system, so I could play on top of Smiley's drums, then James could add guitars, Jules could put the keyboards on, and then the person who had the toughest job was the producer, George Williams, because he had all the audio files flying into his inbox at the end of the day, and he had to make sense of it all and put them in the right place in the mix.
Oh, wow, what a nightmare job that probably was.
I think he enjoyed it because it was different from how we normally make a record. When you make a record normally, we'd all go to the studio for 4 weeks or 6 weeks, whatever the time was, and we'd concentrate on getting all the backing tracks down, and do all the drums, then it'd be all the bass, then all the guitars, then all the vocals and backing vocals, then the mix. And George worked out that there's a lot of downtime if you're just mainly focusing on getting the drums. You maybe only sing the song once, and then the song will be played over and over again to get the right drum track. So there's a lot of downtime. Whereas we felt with this process, we could approach George worked out that we could do 2 songs a week. So we did each song individually, and it became like we were recording 10 singles. We were putting all our focus into just one song. We went, I didn't have song number 9. When we started the process, I only had the first song. I had to write the second one between the first and the second recording session. So, I could have fallen flat on my face. When I actually realised what I'd set out to do, I thought, wow, what if this goes wrong? I could end up looking, not very good at the end of this. But luckily, I also thought, if you can't write a song in this day and age now, there's something wrong. There's plenty out right now.
Yeah, the subject matters are just being thrown at us day and night.
Oh, too right.
Is this your 17th or 18th album?
You know what? I have no idea. I've never counted. All I know is that on our own record label, we've got 124 titles, but some of them are live albums. Some of them are retrospective, whatever. But yeah, I don't think there's a record shop in the world that could cope with putting all our records in one rack. We'd need 2 shops for that.
Yeah, personally, I've counted 17, so I would think this is 18, but I'm probably wrong. I often am.
Hey, you could be right there. I'm going to go and check later on. You know, in terms of records that we call the foundation records, you know, the cornerstone of the band moving through time, you know, the certain records like Declaration was our first album, Strength was second, and now War's the last album. So, you know, you go through the titles, you're probably correct.
Yeah, I love those titles, man. You guys been going since 1981. What a long haul, man.
Yeah, and the band started before that, really. 1981 was what it said in our bio. That was just to cover up all the sins of our past. You know, we started in a band called The Toilets in 1977, playing with The Clash and the Buzzcocks, but it never happened for us till it became The Alarm in 1981.
Well, I was going to ask you about that because I'm a punk rock singer myself, and I have since the early 80s, and I'm wondering who some of your punk rock favorite punk rock bands are.
Well, I saw the Sex Pistols in 1976, in October 1976, and they were a proper band then. It was Glenn Matlock on bass, and Rotten was so confrontational vocally and lyrically. It was incredible. And then a few months later, I saw the Clash, and so they've always been the Clash is my favourite punk band. But they're more than punk. You know, to me, punk isn't about. It's a way of life. It's an attitude. It's about being an individual. It's about going your own way. You know, the punk I subscribe to is about making your own clothes and writing your own fanzine, starting your own band. It was all about creativity and liberation of from the confines that you know. I was brought up in an era where there was nothing in the home. You were just brought up by your influences of your parents, which weren't always great. And so punk was the soundtrack to bust out of that, to actually have the balls to leave your small town and go to the big city and realise your ambition. So that's punk rock for me.
Yeah, and I miss those days of all those fanzines, man. That was such a great world, all the fanzines.
Yeah, because there was nothing else. Now we have, you know, social media. I mean, I'm not really on social media personally. I can't stand the environment. It's so toxic and pits people against each other, and you know, you hear from people who you shouldn't need to hear of, and people are tapping you on the shoulder all day long, and so I've stayed out of that world. But I liked it when it was all human, and you know, you wanted a record, you had to get on a train and go and find it. You know, you wanted a fanzine, you had to go and, you know, almost move heaven and earth to get it, or wait 6 weeks in the post till it arrived. And when it did, it was like a bit of magic coming through your letterbox. It was incredible. And life's a bit everything's too accessible now, I think. So it's you know, and music is sold way too cheap, so people often don't appreciate it as much as they should. But I certainly know that music has kept me going through the pandemic like nothing else. I must have played every single bit of vinyl I own and turned my kids onto so much music, because we switched the news off and just listened to music, and that's been brilliant.
Well, we have a lot in common. I got rid of my television 10 years ago, and I started recollecting vinyl recently. So
fantastic.
Cool. And I'm sure this is a kind of, you're probably going to think it's kind of a goofy question, but it's a serious one for me. Do you have any spiritual beliefs?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I've got a faith, you know, and I follow that.
I wondered. I'm the kind of guy that's into all of it. I love, you know, like everything from, you know, mystical Christianity to Buddhism and Hinduism, all of it, really. And I just like to ask people what they're into.
So, look, God is God, and then man takes his message and turns it around into what to suit his life. You know, I'm not a fan of religion, but I'm a big fan of faith.
Ah, well said, well said. Congratulations. I know you survived some crazy times in your life, including a cancer a couple times and the music business and all that, and pandemics. Jeez, man, you're still here, Mike.
Hey, I'm lucky I'm still here. Still, you know, I think we're lucky in the Alarm that we have the autonomy to make our own records. You know, a lot of bands are suffering right now because they need a record company to fund their days in the studio or their creativity, and we don't have to do that. So we're very fortunate that we can have the opportunity to write about what we've all lived through and actually see the record through to actual proper release day. So I feel for all the artists out there who are suffering, can't get out there and play, and you know, and I'm not sure what the world's going to look like when we can actually get back out to have the opportunity to play gigs or go to recording studios again. You know, we'll just have to wait and see and deal with whatever comes our way.
Tuning in right now, you are listening to KSKQ Radio, and we are chatting with Mike Peters of The Alarm. Very few CDs left from the new War album, available at thealarm.com. And something I wanted to bring up that some of the fans might not know about, it's pretty cool, is the recording you did called The Scriptures, which broke the Guinness Book World Records for the world's longest officially released song.
That's correct. Yeah, that was how that came about. Is I run a charity called Love, Hope, Strength Foundation. That's a cancer charity, really, and we've done gigs on Everest, taking musicians to Kilimanjaro, and built cancer centres in third world countries like Tanzania and Africa, and in Nepal and Peru. And I read about an initiative in Israel. A lady called Dr. Amal Bashara, who's an Arab Christian, and she started a bone marrow registry in Israel and was registering people in Arab villages in Israel. And once the word got out what she was trying to do, Palestinian families were coming across the border, and there were families who cancer had affected their children or their loved ones, and they knew they needed to find a donor to save them. So they were coming across and getting on the registry through Dr. Amal. And it was amazing work, because it started to build real bridges of peace in that part of the world, because these Palestinians were coming over and they were giving their blood to be and their saliva to go on the bone marrow registry, and then they were saving the lives of Jewish people on the other side of their divide. And the same was happening. Jewish people were coming onto the registry and saving the lives of Palestinians, and so it was building massive bridges of hope. And I wanted to support her registry and raise some funds, and we were originally going to hike the Gospel Trail and play a concert in Israel, in Tel Aviv. And as soon as we pressed go on announcing what we were going to do, the Gaza Strip conflict broke out and put paid to it, really. But I still wanted to support Dr. Amal and her work building bridges of peace. So I thought, well, if we can't go, let's make a record. Let's break the world record. And so we created this song called The Scriptures, which we recorded as a country and western, punk, reggae, heavy metal, alternative, every way we could arrange the song, and we changed the lyrics for every single arrangement. And I had fans from all over the world, cancer supporters, people from other bands. I was doing a lot of dates in America. I'd have fans come in the dressing room and record contributions. People who were writing lyrics, I would sing the lyrics for them, or they could sing them themselves. So it became this huge record that was a document of humans being come together to support others in need. And it was a great experience for us all. And we did indeed break the record for some time. And everyone who contributed became a world record holder.
How long is the song, Mike?
I think it's about 96 minutes. So it's two sides of a CD, put it that way.
Over an hour and a half, one song. That's beautiful.
Yeah, we arrange it really differently. It's actually a really good listen, I think. If you actually put it on, it doesn't repeat itself. It just keeps going and going. The lyrics change. The only part is the scriptures line. The chorus line repeats every so often, and that's it. It's got poetry on there with music underneath it. And there's contribution from some of the people who took it into unexpected directions. It's like a river, jumping in a river, and you never know what's coming up around the bend when you start listening to it.
Awesome. It's the Love, Hope, Strength Foundation, so people can find that on the internet, correct?
Absolutely. lovehopestrength.org if you're in the USA, lovehopestrength.co.uk here in Europe. And we specialise as well in getting people on the bone marrow donor registry. So we've done lots of events at lots of festivals right across America, from Bonnaroo to Riot Fest to Isle of Wight Festival in the UK, and between us, we all the bands that support what we do, and the artists and the supporters, we've registered over 250,000 people to the bone marrow registry and found over 4,500 potentially life-saving matches. So it's been a great program. Whether we'll be able to go back to that when the pandemic is over. Who knows? But we'll always be able to save lives through Love, Hope, Strength. And if you come to our website, and you can get on the list by clicking on the buttons on the website, and we can send you a registration kit in the post so you can get on the list and become a lifesaver. Some of the listeners out there might want to do that.
That's beautiful. Are you familiar with Baba Ram Dass and the Love, Serve, Remember Foundation?
Not specifically, no.
Okay. Mike, now that you've got War out and everyone's tuning in and selling out and everything, what is next for the Alarm?
Well, it's our 40th anniversary that starts in June the 5th, 1981 was the day of the first ever Alarm gig. So we've got our next gig in the diary, hopefully, is June the 5th, 2021. It's a massive gig in South Wales, and it's all sold out. And we're all praying and hoping that the government will allow us to play that gig. But if it doesn't, the 40th anniversary still goes ahead, and we'll find a way to do it virtually at first till the physical embodiment of the gig can take place.
That's wonderful. So if you can't do it, hopefully you can. You'll be offering some sort of alternative, maybe a live stream or something. Yeah,
we've just embarked on a new chapter of Alarm history, as we call it. We've got this new platform called the Alarm Central, which you can find on our website, or you can go to thealarmcentral.com, and it's free to join, or you can have a subscription if you want to get deeper into it and access some content that is, direct involvement with myself and our chat nights and videos and TV shows, and it's a great way of communicating direct with our audience in a really brilliant. It's almost like a website, a Facebook, a Twitter, an Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, all in one place. So you can listen to all of the Alarm's music in the platform. You can have chats with the band. You can see films of how we made the albums. There's live streams, so it gives us complete independence from the industry as such that strangles bands' creativity, and it allows us to live in the world of the Alarm on all the facets of how we make our music and how we communicate it with our audience.
Well, thealarmcentral.com is the place, and also thealarm.com. Speaking with Mike Peters, it's been a real pleasure talking to you today, man. I really respect your music, and I hope you have many more years ahead of you, my friend.
Me too. Let's hope so. There's a lot of music to be made, a lot of things to say still.
Yeah, lots of love to your beautiful wife and your band and your family.
All right, and good luck with the singing, and shang-a-lang, as the Bay City Rollers used to say.
Nice to hear that, man. Well, cheers, Mike Peters, and I'm really, really happy and honored to chat with you today, man.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, take care.